Welcome back to another video. We're going to talk more about Phase 4 updates for Season of Discovery. We got a lot to cover, so let's get right into it. Real quick, I wanted to show you how to access the PTR. Feel free to skip ahead if you already know how to do that. I'll leave a link to this page that I'm showing on screen. Just follow the steps that I take. Log into your Battle.net account from this link right here. Select Games and Subscriptions, scroll all the way down and click Create PTR Account. Click the Create Account button, and then open up Battle.net and launch the game. You're going to select WoW Classic Era PTR under the In Development section. Launch the game, and once the game is launched, just make sure that you select the seasonal server and you're good to go. We briefly talked yesterday about instance world bosses. In my opinion, I don't think this is good for the game. This was one of the unique aspects about Classic WoW. It's a controversial change, but I appreciated the epic PvP battles that would happen around these bosses. At the same time though, if you weren't in your server's Discord for the world bosses, you had zero chance to get this gear. So I understand the change here, but I think it could have been handled differently. Maybe add some different mechanics to these bosses so that you can't easily grief your own faction. Maybe change the spawn windows so that these bosses spawn every 2 to 3 hours, similar to how the Ashen Veil event would start every 2 to 3 hours. Something like that would have been a more welcome change to just making these another raid boss to do. Now let's talk about the potential raid difficulty setting found on the PTR. From this screenshot, it looks like we're going to have 3 different difficulties to choose from. As a very competitive player, I'm excited to see what this has to offer and see how much of a challenge it may be for more of the tryhard players like myself. Ultimately, I don't think that this is good for the game. I think this is a step in the wrong direction for Classic players. Just look at the drop off in raids once they get more difficult. You can see the spike every single time a new raid comes out, but that drop off is always the biggest whenever a new difficulty is introduced. Look at Ragnaros, for example, in Classic 2019. The amount of people who were just hard stuck on patchwork for weeks on end until they got enough gear. People quit. The average player doesn't have enough time to spend 4 hours every single night progressing on one boss. It's just not fun. That's ultimately what it comes down to. So here's a quick look at the raiding population for Wrath, TBC, and Classic, as well as Season of Discovery. I'll leave a link to this if you guys want to check these out as well. Right here is the biggest drop off, and that is when Old War Heroic came out, as well as TOGC Heroic. So you can see the drop off is just massive in comparison to Sunwell right here probably, and then right here is probably SSC and Tempest Keep. And then this is without a doubt Naxxramas. This is easily the hardest raid within this version of the game. Of course, there's going to be a bit of a drop off, but the drop off from Ulduar is just insane in comparison to these past expansions. And then of course, Heroic Lich King, Heroic ICC, the hardest content that we've seen so far out of these 3 versions of the game. The drop off is massive. And of course, it doesn't really help this argument at all because Season of Discovery came out. How many more people would have stuck around and kept playing this if Season of Discovery didn't happen? Obviously, people were having more fun playing Season of Discovery, so they switched over. And this little guy at the end is Cataclysm, so this is the first week of Tier 11. Of course, we got to look at Season of Discovery. This is where all the ICC players went. It's a 10-man environment. It's a little bit more laid back. It's a lot more fun to hang out with your friends and just be around a more intimate group with only 10 people instead of 25-man, you know? I think that was the big appeal for Phase 1 for a lot of players. Not necessarily how difficult the raid was or how easy it was. It was just fun. You can even look and see the raid statistics went up over time. Sure, they dropped off the last couple of weeks of the raids, but look at this. Phase 2 progressively got more and more players to clear. Whereas Phase 3, third or fourth week, people just started to quit. And that's ultimately too because of the 20-man jump. Obviously, people didn't even bother. As soon as it was announced, people I knew just quit. They didn't want to play unless it was just going to be a 10-man version. So maybe that's the answer to this. Instead of adding more difficulties, just give us a 10-man version that gets the same loot as 25 and just decrease the number of items that we receive. Similar to what Cataclysm does. I think that's a great system to follow. Not necessarily the difficulty that Cataclysm has, but just being able to do the same raid as a 10-man is just much more appealing for your average player. We got 2 potential new legendary items. The Axe of Cenarius has been data mined, and the Ashbringer questline placeholder has been found on the PTR. Hopefully this is real and they finished the Ashbringer questline, a questline that was never finished in Classic WoW. I think that the Ashbringer might be exclusive for Alliance, while the Axe of Cenarius might be exclusive for Horde. We'll have to wait and see. We also got a reworked Hand of Ragnaros that now grants attack power for Feral Druids, and upgraded chance on hit to increase physical damage taken. This is going to be a new debuff that will be applied from the Hand of Ragnaros. Also now enhanced with an AoE effect whenever the player is hit. The priest racial abilities rune has now been data mined as well. The ability to change priest racial runes will be a passive rune. The rune reads, learn a priest spell from another race to activate an ability in this slot. Not too much information there, but essentially allowing you to change your racial abilities. Another data mine item hints at account-wide attunements, such as Molten Core and Onyxia. A new bind on account amulet, the chipped Drakefire amulet. It appears to be an upgraded version of the Drakefire amulet used for the Onyxia attunement. This is a really nice quality of life. Several new epic rings that appear to be coming in the game for phase 4. Judging from the tooltip, these are going to be coming from the Blood Moon event if I had to take a guess. Some of them are class specific, but there's not really one for any kind of strength user, so we should see some kind of update for that in the future. And then finally we have the Blackrock Eruption event discovered on the PTR. So far all we know is that it's potentially the new PVE or PvP event. It's going to last 60 minutes and it's going to start every 2 hours, starting at midnight and every 2 hours after that. Agron really didn't confirm anything, but he just said that it's nothing like the STV event, so we'll have to just wait and see what this is all about. That's pretty much everything for this video. I'll be going over the tier sets and all of the runes in my next video, so be sure to like and subscribe if you want to see that. And I will see you in the next one.